Hi, welcome to another episode of Life's Beautiful Synergy. My name is Dr. Rachel Behling, and in this session, we're going to be talking about all things mentorship. Why have a mentorship program? Why be part of one? Why have a mentor? Why be a mentor? How to be a mentor? And the different situations on where that plays into all of the different aspects of your life. So join me as we jump into another episode of Life's Beautiful Synergy. So if you were to ask me if I've had mentors throughout my professional career, the answer would be absolutely 100% yes. Let me give you an example of a particular mentor that I had when I first joined the aerospace industry. Coming into that environment, coming into that industry, I had no idea of what was going to be expected, the professional expectations, the technological expectations, the interaction with customers and clients and so forth. And so I was learning all of that from scratch while still being on stage. And the mentor that I was able to connect with during those first couple months of working in that industry, this was a person that was able to pull me aside after a meeting or even chat with me during a meeting and give me that incredible, not only support, but also feedback live in the moment to say, hey, Rachel, don't miss this opportunity to raise your hand, to turn on your camera, to add to the conversation. So that mentor in that moment was so pivotal in my ability to show up differently, show up better, or even to show up at all, because I didn't feel like I was by myself while I was still learning how to be that person in the room that was doing the job, doing the work, and influencing those people around me. Sometimes without a mentor, you might feel like you're doing all of that by yourself without having other people or another person that's there to support you, to coach you, and to guide you. That person's not always your boss. Oftentimes, it's a peer. It's someone else that's in those same meetings or in that same situation as you that may have gone through it before you, or maybe not, but they can see you from a different perspective than how you see yourself. So that's just one example of a mentor that was pivotal in my career as I was going into another industry. One of the things that I feel makes a mentor truly effective is their ability to give you feedback, give you insight that is outside of those voices in your own head. So an effective mentor is someone that's able to see the situation you're in, but still see you getting past it, getting through it, learning from it, getting better from it, even if it's a tough situation, it's a constant struggle. But I think that is the number one skill of a good mentor, is someone who's able to get you out of your own head and see the potential that you have, not where you are right now in this very moment. That may be a great situation, it may be something that you're struggling with, but a mentor sees you beyond that moment and gives you the advice, the encouragement, the tough feedback that maybe you don't want to hear in the moment, but that gets you past that moment so you can continue to get better and better and get more gritty in those kind of situations. So I would say that is probably the most important part of being a great mentor, is seeing that potential and getting people past the current situation that they're in. As we go through a lifetime of having mentors or being a mentor, oftentimes your perspective is going to change. So for instance, when I was first coming out of college, when I was first entering the workforce, there was a lot of times where I was just thinking that a mentor was going to be someone who was going to open doors for me, that was going to introduce me to the right people, that was going to help me to network better. But I would say that over the years, and having been blessed with so many amazing mentors throughout my career, my perspective has changed in that now I think of mentorship as something that builds to my tribe, as part of that growing, not only growing my network, but I learn from every single mentor. And not every mentor, very different from what I used to believe, not every mentor is going to come to the relationship being the expert on everything that I need to be mentored on. And before I used to think I'm going to find one mentor and that mentor is going to be able to coach me and guide me and navigate with me on every single thing that I bring to the situation. But what I've found is everybody has a superpower. And to find the right person with the right superpower that helps to complement where you are in your life journey, that's the most important part of partnering with that mentor. And I think that's something that has really changed for me over the years, is that thinking of everyone has a superpower and how do I partner with the right person so that I learn from them and I can almost promise you that they're going to learn from me as well. So let's dig into that for just one more minute. Equally important is someone who's early in their career. I talked about how my perception had changed when I was first entering the workforce compared to now, where I've been in the workforce in many industries over the last years. Equally important. So someone that's just starting out, really that mentorship and having someone in your orbit and in your environment is really important because they're going to help you to get outside of your head on a lot of the self-doubt, the unknown, not knowing how to navigate a professional environment. Oftentimes, if you're coming right out of college or you're entering a new industry. But it's equally as important for someone who has been in the workforce for a long time, because a mentor is going to remind you that you don't know everything, that there is still so much to learn and there's a different perspective out there that maybe you haven't considered. So whether you're new to the workforce and you're trying to learn how to navigate your work environment, how to find that work-life balance, how to incorporate the things that you're really good at, but still trying to fit in and learn how to be part of a team, how to be part of an organization, your mentor is going to help to guide you through that. Equally, your mentor, when you're later on in your industry or in your experiences, having that mentor that helps you to see the next path, to help you to see the creativity of where your career could go, or things that you may have not considered, or to give you a reality check every now and then that you're not all of that quite yet, and you still have things that you need to learn, and there's always an opportunity for growth. So mentorship, whether you're at any part of that journey, is going to continue to be a significant part of how you continue with that self-development and that self-improvement that is the quality of life. So if we start thinking a little bit more about mentorship and having those mentors who complement you along this journey, I want you to start thinking about mentors as part of your tribe. So think about this for a minute. You are not, most of us, we're not tax experts, we're not real estate experts, we're not experts in every piece of life that we have a role. So I want you to think about mentorship as assembling your tribe, that group of people that have very specific or very unique superpowers that maybe you don't possess, or you're not amazing at all of those things, but you don't need to be. I want to encourage you to tap into your superpower and surround yourself by mentors who bring their superpower to your game, to your journey. So think about this. Oftentimes in a business situation, you need to be really good at being able to communicate at an executive level. So part of that journey is for you to continue to get better at your written, your verbal, and your executive communication skills. Maybe there's a good opportunity for one of your mentors in your tribe to be someone who that is already their superpower, that they bring that to the game very organically. That would be a great person for you to have as part of your tribe. Equally important, you might have a mentor, a second mentor, that would be really good about being able to find, gather, consume, articulate, and influence with data. So if that's not your normal superpower, and for many people it isn't, having someone on your team, having a mentor as part of your tribe that is really good at that, they can give you that feedback. They can give you those tips and tricks and best practices. They can let you know when you're going a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right to make sure that you're continuing to develop that skill and getting feedback along the way in a way that's helping you to develop it. So maybe it's not quite ever going to be one of your superpowers, but you get better and better at it as you continue to work with that mentor. So those are just two examples of the importance of thinking about mentorship in your life, not just from a one size or one mentor brings it all to the table, but thinking of it as actually building your tribe to help you along on this journey. And just like everything else in life, it's all about relationships. So as you continue to assemble your tribe, we're all humans. So that relationship, it truly needs to be nurtured. It needs to feel like a win-win situation. So whether you're the mentee or you're the mentor, it should feel like every time that you sit down with your mentor, that you're not just unloading on them, that you're not just going there saying, my cup is empty, can you please fill it up? It needs to feel like a relationship. It should feel like it's a partnership, that they're learning from you, you're learning from them. And I would say probably one of the most important parts of that is that if your mentor takes the time to give you feedback, to give you coaching, to have those sometimes tough conversations with you, that you're the perfect student, that you take their feedback, that you incorporate it, that you try the things that they're asking you to go try, that you're taking it seriously when they ask you to kind of pivot and do something a little bit different or get outside of your head and think about something differently. A poor mentee is someone who doesn't take that feedback, but keeps going back to the mentor saying, hey, that didn't work. And then your mentor is maybe kind of saying, I need you to be more open with taking my feedback and doing something with it. So that is how you continue to nurture those relationships, is sharing in the wins, sharing with the things that maybe you tried and didn't quite work, but really taking the feedback and the input, taking it very, very seriously and stepping out of your comfort zone and doing the things that your mentor is challenging you with. And honestly, putting your ego aside and listening to that feedback, even when it doesn't feel like something that is in your comfort zone or that you normally like to do. But that is really how you can really nurture those relationships going forward. So a great question that I often get asked is, Rachel, as I'm assembling my tribe and I'm starting on this pathway of having mentors in my life, how do I prioritize my first mentor or my second mentor? Like, how do I prioritize and bring those talents and those people into my life? My advice to you is to step back from yourself for a minute and think about what are my big bodacious goals. For instance, it's looking at the next year. What are the things that I really want to accomplish in my personal life, for my mental health, my physical health, my professional career and career aspirations? What does that whole synergy of me look like? And what are the things that I already feel super confident on? They're already my superpower. I just need to commit. I need to get more gritty. But I probably don't need outside influence on some of them. I already got the skills. I already got the talent. I just need to make a plan. But there's going to be things in your list of goals and priorities that if you're really honest with yourself, you're going to say, you know what? I really need outside influence because what I thought was working, I didn't get the result that I wanted this year. Or I haven't quite been able to make that a superpower or something that is actually could be considered a weakness or an opportunity. My recommendation would be to start with that. Find a mentor or a few mentors that supplement those areas in the synergy of you that you need some experts to be involved. For instance, for the longest time, my running stride, I really struggled. I didn't struggle with nutrition. I didn't struggle with just the grit of finishing, but I was really struggling with the mechanics of the run. So that would be the first place that I started, was hiring a running coach that their superpower was helping me with my running mechanics. They didn't coach me on my nutrition. They didn't coach me on grit. They didn't coach me on the other aspects of becoming a great marathon runner, but simply on the mechanics. And so that way, our relationship was very specific. It was very purposeful. And we knew exactly what we were going to be focusing on. Now, sometimes those mentorship relationships, they might organically expand, or they may organically become more and more narrow as what you focus on together becomes really more specific or more broad. But that would be one thing that I would give you as an example of where to start from, is think about those things in your own goals and use that mentorship opportunity to complement them with people that have it as your superpower. And then you will organically start to build that tribe around that very solid base, but always keep your big goals in mind as you're embarking or continuing on this mentorship journey. So let's be a contrarian here for just a moment. So let's say that you did follow that advice and you put together an amazing tribe. You've got different mentors for different aspects, but you have a big life decision coming up, or you have a decision that needs to be made, and you go to several of your mentors and they give you conflicting advice. What do you do there, right? We just talked about nourishing and nurturing those relationships, taking their advice very, very seriously. But this is something that is equally as important, is remembering this is your journey. This is your synergy of everything that matters to you. And I don't want at any point for you to ever give your power over your journey to somebody else. Not with your medical history, not with your running career, not with your schooling, not with your professional, and definitely not with your personal relationships. This is very similar advice, is if you get conflicting advice from your mentors, think about them as your advisory board. They are advising you based on the information that they know at the time, but they don't know all of you. They don't know every aspect. They may not all understand the ramifications of the decision that you're making. So take it on advisement, take it seriously, but at the end of the day, you are empowered to make those very critical decisions for yourself. And I want you to always, always weigh the pros and cons of other people's advice on decisions that really matter in your own life. So let's add another layer to mentorship. The industry that you're in, your immediate bubble. So there's folks at whatever company, whatever organization, whatever nonprofit group, whatever groups that you're normally in. I want you to think about this as well. So it's as equally important to have mentors that see you at work, see you in your professional environment, that know your industry, know the teams, know the organization, that can really help you to stay in context to the situation and the environment that you're in. But I want you to also consider having a mentor that is outside of that. Having a mentor that is not, I don't want to say clouded by the current politics of where you work and what you do every day, but it is really important as you continue on your synergy of all the pieces of you, that you don't become the job, that you don't become the role, that you stay you. And part of that is to have a mentor that isn't caught up in the politics, that isn't caught up in the culture of your organization, that they can see you on your life journey, that they see you outside of your current badge that goes on your shirt or the lanyard that goes around your neck that gets you into the building. I encourage you to have a mentor that is outside of your current organization, that stays with you through different life changes, that stays with you through different organizational moves, that can really help you to see beyond and past your current situation so that you continue to make those decisions, not based on where you are right now, but your life journey, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, and not just the situation that you're in. So balance your mentorship with people both inside and outside of your organization. Something that I get asked quite often is, Rachel, what do I do if I don't have a clear path to a formal mentorship program, or I don't have a clear path or guidance on how to find a mentor in the first place? So here's the trick. The next meeting that you're in, or next week, when you are in different sessions, different training sessions, different work meetings, I want you to look around the audience. I want you to look at both who's presenting in the call, who has their cameras on, who's participating in those meetings, and who's in those same meetings with you. And I want you to look for one thing. I want you to look for someone in that meeting that made a difference, that resonated with you, that demonstrated something that you yourself, maybe you're thinking, oh, I wouldn't have been brave enough to present that, or I wouldn't have thought about that approach, or that was a unique mindset to bring to this meeting because it was different from most of the other people in the call. So look for someone in that call that you have a curiosity about, or that they have something that they could possibly teach you. And whether your company uses Teams or some other instant messaging, shoot them a message and just simply ask them, hey, would you mind if I set up a 15 or 30-minute meeting? I would love if you could just share with me how you came up with that presentation, or what were you thinking when you put together that roadmap or that data analysis, because that was really unique and it's a skill that I need to learn. So my advice here is you have an opportunity, for those of us that have multiple meetings a day, you have multiple opportunities to find someone in an audience, in a meeting that you're already in, to tap them on the shoulder and ask for their advice. After you have a chance to meet with them, and don't make it a big commitment, it's 15 minutes, it's a 30-minute meeting. After that, you can already sense if they're open to sharing, to teaching, to coaching. And it's very, very easy for you to say, hey, by the way, would you mind if every time, maybe in the next couple months, if I had a big presentation, would you mind if I set up just a quick session to review my PowerPoint with you, or to practice my speech, or to run my numbers by you, whatever that case might be. And you'll be able to sense whether they're open to that reoccurring mentorship relationship with you or not. And I would say in the history of my professional career, I have been very consistent with this behavior, and I've never once had somebody turn me down for that first meeting. And oftentimes it will lead to a reoccurring opportunity for a real mentoring relationship. So let's fast forward to you having a mentor. What do you do when you have just normal challenges in your work career, or even in your personal life that are starting to impact your personal career or your professional career? So think about this. Some of those hardships can be much more easily overcome if you have a mentor for three things. First, let's say you're really struggling with a new project or learning a new technology, and your mind is stuck. That mentor can be very significant in helping you to get past that by helping you to think about things in a different way. Because sometimes it's not your skill, it's not your consumption of the new application or the new technology or the new process that you're trying to learn. Sometimes it's in our own brains that, oh, I can't do this. This is too much. They're asking too much of me. I'm too used to the old way. This is too weird. Whatever that might be, that's causing you to have a little bit of a resistance to whatever change is coming. And we all have resistance to change. Every single one of us. But sometimes that mentor, with just the right wording and the right mindset, can help you to get past that struggle and think about it as more of an opportunity, encouraging you to let go of something that you might have messed up on. Maybe you're not the first one to figure it out and you're kind of frustrated about that, but that mentor can help you past that emotional or that mental struggle and get you to that next step of adoption, of accepting that change that's coming in your work environment. So that's the first, is just kind of helping you reframe that mindset. So that leads directly to number 2, imposter syndrome. A mentor is a significant catalyst to help us to understand that we all fight imposter syndrome. It's that space of liminality between you don't know everything to where you should know everything and you do. It's that space in between. And it's that imposter syndrome that sets in. So number 2 of the criticality of how a mentor can help you when you're having those kind of struggles in your professional life is to push you past that imposter syndrome to where you have that confidence. They remind you that maybe you haven't done this before, but you have an amazing track record of learning new things and accomplishing things that you've never done before, stepping out of your comfort zone. And they are a significant catalyst to get you past that and on to getting past that imposter syndrome and being brave enough and getting out of your comfort zone until you test it, you try it, you do it. And then you're like, why was I making such a big deal about it? And your mentor will say, see, I told you so. So that's number 2. The third one, and to me, this is probably the most important, is that your mentor is that person that could also tell you, Rachel, you are not directionally correct right now. You are getting yourself wrapped around the axle for something that is not as big as you're making it out to be. Maybe I failed a presentation. Maybe I looked like I was reading my script instead of narrating, and it came across really flat in a really big presentation. Or maybe it went to go live with a project, and I didn't anticipate some of my stakeholders' needs. And I actually ended up making a pretty big mistake. A mentor is there to remind you that you need to get out of your head and you're not thinking about what you see as a failure. You should be thinking of it as such an amazing opportunity for growth. So oftentimes that mentor, and this is the third, is they're there to tell you not just think about this differently, but you need to use this opportunity, this thing that didn't go quite right, and you need to use it as an opportunity to go forward. So sometimes you might be super proud of yourself for something, and your mentor will be that person that comes back and grounds you and says, actually, yeah, that's fine. You could be proud of yourself in this moment, but you weren't bold enough. You weren't brave enough, Rachel. You could have done X, Y, and Z if you would have been thinking of things just a little bit differently. So number 3 is that mentor, and finding that right mentor that's able to give you that honest, true feedback is going to be a really important part of your professional journey. So I'm going to encourage you to look for someone who isn't afraid to say the emperor has no clothes, that isn't afraid to tell you when you should have been bolder, you should have been more prepared. Hey, Rachel, you didn't do great because you didn't practice. Hey, Rachel, you could have done so much more with that if you would have brought in these different stakeholders or thought of something in just a different way. So those are the 3 things that I would say that a mentor is so significant in your journey throughout these next phases of your life and pulling that all together. Sometimes it needs to be one person, sometimes it's a few, but make sure that your team has all three of those skills to bring you along with you. So we've spent a lot of time talking about the benefits of being a mentee, all the goodness that can come from creating your tribe of mentors to help you with your professional journey. But what we haven't talked about yet is at what point do you pay that forward? At what point do you enrich the life of somebody else or lives of other people that could benefit from your mentorship? And the only thing I could say is you're ready now. You don't have to have formal mentorship training. You don't have to feel like you have a superpower. You just need to have the care for helping somebody else. If you see someone in your circle, in your world, whether it's at church, at home, in your running community, whatever communities you're involved in, if you start just being aware of those around you, you're going to find so many opportunities to bring being a mentor and mentorship into someone else's life. So don't hesitate to ping maybe that early career or that intern that you see in the meeting, or reach out to someone and just tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, if you want to spend 15 minutes with me, I can totally help you with that project that you just raised your hand for. I've done something very similar in a previous organization, and I'd love it if we spent some time and you could just tap my brain for some of the experiences that I've had, because I would hate for you to have to make my same mistakes all over again if I'm sitting right here with you. Or maybe you're seeing someone who's taking up a new role. Maybe they're very experienced, but it's a brand new role for them. Those are the opportunities for you to pay it forward. Think about all the amazing people that have shared their insights, shared their superpower with you to get you to where you are today. And I want to encourage you to always be on the lookout for someone that you can also empower, embrave, and educate on things that you've already been through that you could help that other person. And I will tell you, new mentors or very experienced mentors will always learn from your mentees. So you'll not only pay it forward to help that person that you're mentoring, but I can personally guarantee that you will get something out of that relationship that you never expected. You may volunteer to be someone's mentor, and more times than not, you will walk away feeling like you were the mentee again because they shared an insight, they shared a tip, they shared an approach that maybe it would be totally alien for you. So I want to encourage you as you move into this next phase to start really thinking about that holistic approach to being in a life of mentorship, not only being on the receiving end of being a mentee, but also that opportunity to mentor those around you and bring them along with you on this journey. So let's talk about just one example. So for me, myself, I've been a mentor to many different people. And I will tell you just one example. I was mentoring a young lady, and she was coming into the aerospace industry, and she was scared to death of being on stage. And as I was mentoring her to think about going to Toastmasters, to recording herself, to writing out a script, all these different things that I was giving to her advice, because I wasn't her supervisor. I wasn't even in her same organization, but I was giving her this advice to get her past that roadblock. And what I found was the advice that I was giving her, I would spend moments and go, oh my goodness, have I even given that same advice to my own team? And I found that as I was coaching someone that was actually part of a formal mentoring program, I was able to internalize that feedback and bring it back to my own leadership team, to my own team that had very similar challenges that they were trying to get through. So at the end of the day, I actually owed her an immense amount of gratitude because the structured way that I was coaching her in the mentorship program, I was able to bring back and actually elevate my entire leadership team with that same advice, the same tips, the same practices, and so forth. So I was actually the winner in that situation, and watching her get through those roadblocks and get through the imposter syndrome and become an amazing presenter actually very selfishly helped me to elevate my entire leadership team in my own organization. So it was definitely a win-win situation for everybody that was involved, not only in that immediate mentorship circle, but look at how it impacted the peripheral people that also got that same benefit. In today's episode, we've talked a lot about mentorship, why it matters, how is it important, how to build that tribe, how to utilize mentors in each of those different aspects of all the synergies of your life to accentuate, accelerate, and help you through some of the challenges that you might come across. And so as we wrap up today's session, I have a call to action. Number 1, take a moment and think about those really important goals that you have in your own life. And start thinking about who are potential mentors that can help to supplement those. I want you to start there. Number 2, no matter how many meetings you have next week, I want you to utilize one meeting a day to find just one person that is outside of your sphere and set up just one 15 to 30 minute call with them to pick their brain on something that they demonstrated either in that meeting or in a training session in your interaction with them that you could learn from. Start there. You can take those 2 actions between now and the end of today, and you will already be on a wonderful path to the benefits of a lifetime of mentorship. So thank you for joining another episode of Life's Beautiful Synergies. Follow me on social media, wherever you may be joining me for my podcast. And I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to see your questions. I'd love to hear your experience with mentorship, whether as being a mentee, being a mentor. Ask me those questions and share with the rest of this mentorship community. If you have anything else that you'd love for us to dig deeper in future podcasts, I want to know that as well. Again, this is Dr. Rachel Behling, and I'll see you next time on Life's Beautiful Synergies.